Uh, mm, all right. It looks like Sherman. Huh. I don't know this one. Oh, we'll get to know him. Uh, back up. Back up. Hey. Oh, it's Greenman. Hello, Adam Greenman.
How's it going, Sean?
You said you'd take my report. So are you going to do that?
I'm actually here on a different matter, on a different case right now.
You're here on a misdemeanor.
I am. On intimidation of telecommunications on Miss Alicia Rainwater.
Alicia Rainwater.
Miss Rainwater. We'll go with that.
Although that's not actually her name. It's not really Alicia. I'm just being an ass.
I'm just here on that, okay? She's asked you to stop. I saw the text messages numerous times and everything like that. So this is just saying that I'm not going to arrest you. I'm trying to work with you, okay? It's just saying that you're going to appear at this day, the April 16th at 8:30 at the courthouse, okay?
Well, hell yes. Thank goodness I finally get a court date. Now don't drop the charges. Is she going to be there?
I believe that is what her plan is, okay?
Yes!
I can't vouch for that, okay? But that's what this is about, okay? So I'm going to just need you to sign right down here saying that you're promised you're going to show up, okay?
The text message that I sent her, do you know what it happened to say?
The one just today? No, I've been working on it the last couple days.
The one that is just today, the one that I sent her, it says...
Yep, I saw that one today too.
And what did it say?
It said, I believe it said, I am going to sue the fuck out of you.
That's right. I am going to sue the fuck out of you.
So I'm not here about, that's neither here or there.
Thank you very much for
So I will have
you
just sign right down here with today's date right over there. Then I'll have you sign another copy. Then one will be for yours and one will be for mine.
All right. Well, that's what I've been fighting for, a day in court, and I will get one. Now, I certainly hope that she shows up, because I have plenty of evidence that I need to get from her that shows the wrongdoing of officers across the board, both in this state. What's today's date?
It is the 15th of February.
And you guys want me to go to court on
April 16th at 8:30. Maybe this might work a little better for you.
Screw it, it's close enough.
Then I'll just have you on the other sheet right behind it. It's the exact same copy. I'll have you just do the same thing. Then I'll get you your copy, and we'll get one from me, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, Sean?
Well, actually, I think this is perfect. It shows law only works one way, and that it is acceptable for people to do things to me, but it's not okay for me to do those things.
So you don't drop your computer.
Perfect. Matter of fact, I've been fighting for this for a very long time. Unfortunately, you guys are screwing up badly. Not you in for, well, actually, you did as well. The last time that we spoke. And I would like to get a statement written about that. Also, your body camera footage from that day.
You're going to have to go with the attorney to get that.
Well, I keep hearing that. I don't have the money for attorney, and that's something that you guys keep preying on. I also do not have a guardian, which I should have had already.
I'll have you change that to 2. It's February.
All right, I'll change it on this one as well. And I get to keep this copy?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I was going to not do that, but I spoke to Sheriff Scott Costa yesterday, and he made it perfectly abundantly clear that he is going to do everything in his power to protect his deputies against their own wrongdoing, no matter what the case. So, if this is the only way to get that son of a bitch in court, by all means, fuck that bastard. Now, we have another situation to deal with.
What would that be?
That would be the situations where I was threatened. I need to have a guardian present so that my rights are not violated yet again.
Who threatened you?
Well, sir, I've been threatened on multiple occasions, including by Deputy Cody Stelhorst.
I think that is, you're working with Scott on that one. That is not on that one. he is working that
Well,
one
that's
for you.
the thing, is that Scott has shown me through our conversation yesterday that he's not really interested in doing that.
He told me that is what he's working on, and
I
that's going to be
certainly
into that.
hope so. I certainly hope
Okay,
so.
I'm not getting into that one because I haven't been here enough long to understand
Now,
what Cody
the
was.
situation with the gentleman that I spoke with you about when you were arrested, you remember what that was about?
I can't remember his name. I know we kind of talked quite a bit about it. Was it one of the deputies here? So we talked about quite a few people on that drive.
We did talk about the deputies. We did indeed.
Okay.
And that's why that body camera footage is important. You remember what day that was?
I know it was in December. I can do some research.
That's close enough.
I try to remember everything best I can. It gets long hours.
Well, that's why it's important to have the body cameras,
Yep.
which you at least had it on, whereas Scott Costa did not have it on. His deputies on multiple occasions did not have them on, and Deputy Hahn showed up the other day intent on doing something absolutely no good because he showed up with his off as well.
I'll
And
pass
this
that on to
right
Scott.
here is my protection to prevent him from doing what it is that he did last time and prevent Scott from doing what it is that he did last time.
All right, that's Scott's deal on that one. That's not mine. Okay.
The three gentlemen that I was speaking about, one of them I will have to look his name up because it's actually, I document everything on my computer. I make sure that everything is.
I know that.
One of them is Derek Jepson, and I really don't want to take him to court because I love him and his entire family, but threatening me isn't okay.
Understand.
The other one is, hold on, what's his name? I have to always remember him by his dad's name. His dad's name is KK Kurth. So, Chris Kurth is the one that I'm wanting to talk about. And the one that I was speaking to you about last time was Nikki McIntosh's ex.
I don't know that one.
He's the one who's a registered sex offender.
Okay.
He lives across the street from. He lives right next door to Holly Howell and across the street from Clint Snell and Jeff Baldridge.
Okay.
And I don't know his name at the moment. And I was told that he was probably drunk, and that's probably why he was doing the things that he was doing and saying the things that he was saying. But I still need to make a report about that.
Okay. And I can definitely work on that. Okay.
All right. When will that be?
I can start on it tonight and tomorrow.
All right. I have an appointment on Tuesday. I just set it up with the receptionist there at the sheriff's department.
Okay.
Since you guys are closed on Monday.
Yep.
And I can come in and give you some information then. Do you have a report that I could write this stuff down on?
Let me check real quick and see if I have one in my car. If not, I can go get one and bring it back to you. Okay. Let me check real quick.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Somebody's got to keep them honest. God, I need you back.
If you'd like, you can fill this out, and instead of making more than one trip, we can just bring it Tuesday at the office if that works for you.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Take care, Sean. Okay.
Thanks, sir. I should really get one of these for each of them. Should I get 2 more of these?
Yes, I can get that. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
There you are. Yep. You have a good one today.
I'll at least pretend to. Now I gotta wait 2 goddamn months. That sucks. However, that's 2 whole months. I'd like to get it all to the court tomorrow. It'd be nice to get it in court before they pull some bullshit to prevent this evidence from going to court. All right. Well, that is a good start. Let's make sure they don't pull any bullshit to prevent me from going again. Back up. Back up. And you heard it out of his mouth. The words that I typed were, ding, 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 I'm going to sue the fuck out of you. Why is it that I would type that instead of, I'm going to cut your head off, or I'm going to feed you to your babies, or some sort of crazy shit like that? Well, honestly, it's because I'm trying to get a day in court. And none of her friends or family threatened to kill me. None of them. They did threaten to take me to court. Thank goodness we finally get a day in court. Now, let's read that piece of paper. There it is. Fuck, I need a new back. Let's read this. All right. Date of offense, 12/14/2020. Time of offense, 11/24. It doesn't say AM or PM. Well, Troop District Sector 12. Plaintiff, State of Nebraska, in duel, 78. 78 is the county. Court case number, there isn't one. Last name Schwartz, first name Sean, middle initial D as in David. Has my phone number here and a check mark saying it's a cell. Chapel, Nebraska, 69129, United States. Date of birth, 10/18/1980. Gender, male. Height, 5'11". Weight, 160. Eyes brown, hair brown. Race and ethnicity, W. DL state, Nebraska. DL country, US. It's got my driver's license number on here. Although my driver's license is expired. Expiration date, 2/14/2020. That's odd. They screwed up again, although that's just a little tiny deficiency there. Vehicle year, vehicle type, not applicable. Vehicle VIN, vehicle license, none. State, U. Vehicle country, US. CMV, none. That's what I'm assuming the N is for. In the county of Dual, 78, in the city of Chapel. Location at or near latitude and longitude. Cool. It says state ordinance section, intimidation, phone call, electronic comm. NCIC code 1316, intimidating Alyssa Rainwater over texting by saying I'm going to sue her. Well, since they did the same to me, I suppose it goes both ways. Let's see. Greenman A, Dual County Sheriff's Office, 2/14/2020. 9784 is his badge number. Let's see. This is an appearance only, not a trial date. You must appear in court as directed below. Your court appearance is at 4/16/20. Time 8:30. I'm assuming that's in the AM. Court address, Dual County Court, 718 3rd Street, Chapel, Nebraska, 69129. Mailing address, Dual County Court, P.O. Box 514, Chapel, Nebraska, 69129. And of course, It says, I promise that I will appear in court at the above time and place. Well, fucking duh. I've been trying to get a court date for fucking 2 goddamn years. Over 2 goddamn years. The thing is that the electronic harassment that I have had to deal with has gone on since 2016. Now, Alyssa Rainwater, as well as her mother, Mandy Hughes, were going to help me with that. The only way for that to happen is for their testimony to come forward. And they have testimony in multiple situations in Colorado where I was abused by the jails. Not just physically, also monetarily. Because why? Ding, ding, ding. Alyssa Rainwater and Mandy Hughes, as we spoke about there in the messages that they're pissed off about, that I posted up here on YouTube. Mandy put money on my books so that I could call these people. Call people like Miss Peaches when it still would have made a difference. The police in Colorado did everything that they could to prevent me from talking to Miss Peaches while I was in jail. When it made a difference. When it no longer made a difference, yeah, they were fine with letting Alyssa Rainwater put money on my books. And she did. But the thing is that both of these women, both of them, were aware of the situation that I was going through and needed to make a report. And that needs to come forward in court. In court. Now, with Sheriff Scott DaCosta doing everything in his power to cover for the wrongdoing of his fellow officers, if this is the only way to get it done, it's the only way to get it done. Now, as far as harassment, fuck yes, it's harassment. You're goddamn right it is. They got away with that in Arapahoe County. A lot of it. The Bollinger family got away with all of it. If this is my foot in the door, God damn it, thank you, Alyssa. I am so grateful. And tell your mother thank you as well. Your words in court, where it matters. Not pretty words on Facebook. Not hiding like a coward behind Messenger and making empty promises. I am thankful for everything that you did. To this day, I am thankful for everything that you did. But the only way for me to be able to get my life back is to prove what's been going on this whole time. I know you guys wouldn't be pissed off that I recorded you in our conversations and posted them up on YouTube. Now, there's a video with Scott DaCosta and several other officers. It's not illegal for me to do that here. The thing that sucks is that I had to do it to begin with. The fact that I had to threaten to sue you to get this fucking piece of paper pretty well pisses me the fuck off. When Scott DaCosta let me know in that conversation yesterday that, well, he's going to be too busy screaming at me and defending his officers for me to be able to do the things that I need to do, it became pretty important. And if you're my window to do that, you're a lifesaver. Now, I'm going to continue to harass the FBI every single day
every single day. Somebody needs to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And if I have to commit felonies to protect my loved ones, by God, I'll do it. Little misdemeanor kind of pisses me off, actually. Oh, back up. Back up. Bless you. Now, for the first time in about a week, there is something decent on the TV downstairs. I don't know about decent. It's an Austin Powers movie, but they're kind of funny. And I got to see Britney Spears' head blow up. Is it just me, or maybe some of the rest of y'all felt this way too? I didn't really like Britney Spears until she shaved her head, and then she became human to me. Well, hello, L Fluffy. I'll take hello. Hopefully, we can get some laws changed. I didn't go through all of this hell for nothing. I didn't go through hundreds of police officers making every excuse just to have nothing happen now. I got some pieces of paper here to fill out. And of course, when I am done with them, I am going to hold them in front of the camera so that y'all can see them. I believe that should work. The reason that I read this piece of paper instead of showing it to y'all, although actually, I think I can just put my finger over the part that has my phone number on it. Let me see. When I go in and talk to the police, I pretty well get blown off. Now, this time, and the last time that I spoke with the officers, I was given some of these, and these are nice. It'll be even nicer if anything comes of them. Now, hopefully, if Scott DaCosta is doing his research, he'll find a body camera from Cody Selhorst. Now, the fact is, I've been reporting about that situation over and over and over again for a reason. When I went in to speak to Scott DaCosta and had Jen Beebe there was an important reason for that. You're right, El Fluffy. I've been following lots of various people's disappearances and deaths. I've actually been doing that since well before Natalie Bollinger's death, by the way. Shady Dan was found dead behind the pedestrian shop. This is while I was hanging out with a guy named Christopher Weaver, and I was helping him move all of his stuff up to a motel up by the homeless shelter in Boulder. And before we went there, I ran into Shady Dan. He had just gotten out of rehab, and he wanted to smoke some weed. I didn't have any to smoke with him. The next day, there's a little alley in between the Cheesecake Factory and the pedestrian shop there on the Pearl Street Mall. And I had my first cigarette of the morning around 6 o'clock, had my second one around 7, had my third one around 8 o'clock, fourth one around 9. Around 10 o'clock, there were a lot of people walking through that alley. Literally hundreds of people had walked past Danny. I walked back. I got as far as the there's a little rain gutter there at the very back of the building. And I got that far and I saw Danny's ear. I didn't know it was Danny at the time, but I knew he was dead. I've seen enough dead people. And I went in and got Tony DeStassi. Tony DeStassi, I have an email from him about that situation. And Alfred, we talked about that situation for about an hour. Her and I speaking about that is actually on this YouTube as well. As far as disappearances go, there's quite a few disappearing people that I've helped to find. Most of them I knew. There was a few people that I helped find that I didn't know, but for the most part, they were all people I knew, at least by face. There's some of them that, when they were younger, you're right, a lot of them aren't so kind. It's not the unkind words that are the biggest worry, though. It's the violence that I've had to deal with, and the theft that I've had to deal with, and the alcoholics and meth heads who I've had to deal with as a result of those not so kind words. There's a young woman named Brittany. She was one of the first people I helped to find. And she was found safe. I'm not personally the one that found her, but I did go see her in jail because she was in Jefferson County in Colorado. And then the second person that I helped to find, her name was Sarah Rubiolo. And I actually didn't know her name. I didn't find out her name was Sarah until she went missing. I saw her on a missing persons poster and I went, hey, that's one of the girls who hangs out with Pierre. Pierre was a guitar player, underage, but he played guitar down on the Pearl Street Mall and he hung out with Derek Parrish. And I hung out with Derek Parrish's mother. So I got to know Pierre pretty good. Sarah Rubiolo, she was found safe. Not only was she found safe, but she brought her mother to meet me at Starbucks on the Pearl Street Mall when she was found. And also, she invited me to her high school graduation. And then there's a young woman named Hannah Pendergrast, and she hates me. I'm assuming that has something to do with some sort of violence at home. But she was another one of those people that I saw on a missing persons poster. And I went, hey, I know that girl, at least by face. I didn't learn her name until I saw it on a poster. And she hung out with, I think she hung out with Pierre as well. I don't really know. I just remember seeing the poster and going, hey, that girl hangs out with those people at the park. The park is what we call the area outside Boulder, Colorado at the library. But what's your question? El Fluffy, since you typed El Fluffy there. We do what we can. Those of us who grew up in the system and know how broken it is, we got to look out for each other. A lot of people like to tell stories, and I like to tell true stories. Many people are angry that I tell true stories. Unfortunately, a lot of the stories that I have to tell aren't exactly the nice things that people want to hear about themselves or have about themselves out in public. Well, honestly, my interest in helping to find people, that all started with Brittany. She disappeared. I knew her from here in Chapel, and when I found out from her sister that she was missing, I really freaked out. I started calling people that we knew, mutual friends that we had in common. There's a lot of details of her life that, well, homeless life is hell. It's hell whether you're a man or a woman. It's hell. and a lot of the details about her life aren't for sharing. But that's what sparked my interest. That was right around the time that a guy named Nathan Forrest was he went missing from Boulder, Colorado, and his body was later found in Wyoming. And one of the women here in town, Laura Nelson, it's one of her relatives. Um, so that was actually around the time that Sarah Rubiolo disappeared. Um, and I don't know, that's really what started me on trying to find people, was being worried fucking sick about people that I knew in real life and had encounters with in real life. And with the case of Brittany, she was extremely good to me growing up. She wasn't really one of the popular kids here, and she got ostracized and all that. We actually went to the same church, the Chapel Assembly of God here. So that her disappearing and me being scared shitless because I know the life, especially when you're a woman, that's really what got me into helping to find people. As far as what got me involved in finding people that I didn't know was Nathan Forrest. I didn't know him. Laura Nelson did. And when she told me about him, that's when I started looking for people that I didn't know in real life. I had one previous instance with Sarah where she was in an unsafe situation with a couple of gentlemen underneath. I call it Pigeon Ship Bridge, but there's a young man there. We call him Bug Out, and because I'm not a violent person and I don't like screaming and yelling, I went and got Bug Out and had him take care of the situation. Well, I am located in Chapel, Nebraska, and my occupation is homeless person. I have severe PTSD from the shit that I've gone through, both as a child and as a homeless adult. I got a pretty screwed up back, and the shit that I've gone through, the violence, the abuse of power, the fucked up system just rolls around in my head all the fucking time. Natalie Bollinger, she should be alive to this day. Her predators never should have had access to her ever again. And somebody should have done something about the threats, violence, assault, and all that I've been enduring for the last 3 years. Somebody should have done that a long time ago. Due to the fact that they haven't, I have literally gone out of my way at every point in time to try to show all of this evidence through severe panic attacks. I've had a lot of people promise to help me. It turns out that most of them are drug addicts. It's tough for a drug addict to find time to do anything other than drugs. A lot of them are alcoholics. Many of them, like Mandy Hughes and Alyssa Rainwater. Mandy knows the life. Alyssa really doesn't. Alyssa was a 911 operator in Adams County the night that Natalie Bollinger disappeared. She really didn't come into my life until I was already in Arapahoe County Jail, and I was very thankful for her as well as her mother. I still am grateful that they came into my life at that point. They have a lot of useful information, and well, it sucks that I have to be an asshole to get a day in court, and it sucks that I have to break the law to get a day in court. But the fact is, if I'm going to get back to saving lives, we need to make it so that the real victims can actually come forward no matter where they're at. The fact is, Ted Bollinger, no matter where he's at, he is capable of getting a firearm. He is capable of getting hold of some meth, and he is capable of coming and harming myself or my loved ones. He's also obviously, because Mandy Hughes, that's Alyssa Rainwater's mother, Mandy Hughes has seen Ted Bollinger twice in the grocery store there. Obviously, he could very easily get a hold of her and kill her if he wanted to. So we're going to have to get that spoken about in court as well. The thing is, it's not just my loved ones and myself that are at risk. It's also Mandy and Alyssa, and that's something that they're pissed off about, and rightly so. The difference is the cops will help them or the cops will not help me. Now, if Scott DaCosta comes forward and tells me that he's actually going to do something about Cody Stellhorst and Deputy Hahn and Jordan Anderson, and they're actually going to do something for my safety, then I will have to apologize here because I believe in doing that. I believe in honesty. The only occasions where I've actually had to lie, and the only occasions where I have actually had to break the law, is to try to force an honest day in court where I can show evidence, not just of the things that I've endured, but also the things that other people, like Mandy Hughes and Miss Peaches and Tabitha Michelle Cook and her children, and many other people have had to deal with, mostly at the hands of alcoholics, a lot of it at the hands of meth heads. Heroin heads don't really do much. That's the thing that was the big issue about Natalie, is that she was a very sweet person, but she's also addicted to methamphetamines and heroin. You don't mix uppers and downers. That's a bad idea. That in itself can kill you. Matter of fact, when I tried to kill myself over Natalie's stepmother's and the situation at Candace's, I tried to mix uppers and downers, caffeine pills and sleeping pills, and I put them in chocolate pudding. It sucks that this is the way that I had to do it, but the fact is, police repeatedly refused to take these people's reports, and the fact that Mandy promised and then didn't because she had warrants out for her arrest, and the fact that Alyssa got involved with it while I was in jail, these are all important things that need to come forward in court. This is stuff that proves that I was trying to get help every step of the way, and there were lots of people who were trying to force the police to listen, and no matter what, they just wouldn't. If I can get this court date, even though I have to wait a couple of months for it, which is going to be hell, it's better than nothing. I mean, that right there is at least a chance. I'm not separated from my evidence, so I can walk in there with all of this. Hopefully, I'll be able to get some sort of help between now and then so that I'll have an advocate to go in with me so that they don't pull a bunch of bullshit. The thing is that the police here put me at risk, the media put me at risk, and the threats, harassment, and assaults that I've endured are complete bullshit. Now, with Alyssa Rainwater, she's aware of some of the situations I've gone through, not all of it. And in order to get a day in court and get her to testify, I have to get her into court. I can't go to the state of Colorado for my own safety. And that's a very difficult issue to explain. I'm glad that the Deputy Greenman showed up. I really would like somebody to go in with me. I really don't trust the police here for shit. I do try to judge each one of them on an individual basis, and I feel that that is a fair and equal way to do it. Now, I do have to be paranoid, at least to some degree, because it's the same sheriff. Different deputies, but it's the same sheriff, which means it's the same regime. I have done my best to do that, actually. I have, oh my God. A lot of the stuff that I wrote down in the jails, they kept on stealing from me. There was actually one occasion where sorry, there's a train going by, it'll beep again. All right. There was actually one occasion where the jail guards went through and they took all of my papers that I was writing on and threw them all out. And there was a couple of occasions where they threw out the paperwork when I handed it to them right in front of me. But yeah, I have a lot of it written down, but I also have a lot of it because a lot of it is electronic. A lot of it is actually saved on my emails and in my Facebook Messenger and places like that. I've had to collect it and recollect it and recollect it because it's been stolen on multiple occasions. There's also been situations where, let's see, this is the ones about border. Here's some from Arapahoe County right here. Arapahoe County, 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 Arapahoe County. There's a bunch more. As far as the threats from people like Tim Beeson, that's on my YouTube as well, or on my Facebook as well. I even saved the cards of all the people that I interacted with. A lot of that is because I have problems remembering names and numbers. Is there any reason why the cops wouldn't like me? There was any altercations of any kind, any brash harassments for no reason? Actually, there were a lot of them. In Boulder, I was homeless in Boulder, and I used to help homeless people. Many of them are addicts, I'll admit that. Many are alcoholics, but not all of them. Most of the ones that I actually hung out with were pretty straight-laced and all had jobs. Myself, I had a job nearly the whole time I was there. There were multiple situations where officers would harass the homeless over and over and over again. You don't have to do anything illegal. If you exist and you're poor, it's illegal for you to exist. There were situations like with Officer Day. Officer Day came down and there was a computer that I had given to a guy named Onyx. Onyx's real name is Tommy, and he died. He was also a heroin addict. But there was an officer named Officer Day who didn't like a guy named Monkey. Well, he goes by Monkey. His real name is Michael Pennington. And Michael Pennington was drinking a soda pop that I had given him, and she came up and insisted that she be allowed to sniff the soda pop. And he said, "No, I'm not going to let you sniff my soda pop." So she grabbed it out of his hand, took the top off of it, sniffed it, and then threw it on him. The three people who were there who tried to make a police report were arrested for trying to make a police report. There was also the situation with Waylon Lolatai. I'm actually going to give you a little taste of this, man, since you're asking. Waylon Lolatai assaulted me on January 6th of 2018. And that was a little over a week after Natalie Bollinger was killed. The Boulder police had harassed me for 5 days straight or more over the death of Natalie Bollinger, and repeatedly ignored the threats, harassment, and assaults against me. Let's see, Officer Waylon Lolatai. I'm gonna save the link to this video and I'm gonna put it in there for you. There's a few of them actually. Copy link address. This one's for you. Paste. Officer Waylon Lolatai was let go of the Denver Police Department in 2015 or 2016 for assaulting an inmate. In 2018, after Natalie was killed and I had been threatened, harassed, and assaulted repeatedly by the police, and been prevented from making a report in any jurisdiction about the threats, harassment, and assaults that I was receiving, that officer assaulted me. Then they charged me with assault. Here's the thing. The abuse of power, it's nationwide. The thing is, when Officer Lolatai assaulted me, they dropped the charges because I was the one who was assaulted. They had to do that to prevent their wrongdoing from coming out. The problem with that is that Waylon Lolatai was later involved in 6 other altercations where he was the instigator. And as a result, basically, if you're a cop, you can do whatever the fuck you want, especially if the person is homeless. Now, there is no specific law against homeless, against the word homeless, but it's the fact that you exist. They try to make as many laws as they can that they can use specifically against the homeless, and they tend to turn a blind eye to the rest of the Boulder population doing these things. Basically, every aspect of living not in a house is illegal. One of the rackets that they have going on in Boulder is that your taxpayer dollars go to a place called Boulder County Cares, so that Boulder County Cares can pass out blankets. They pass out these blankets until 10:30 at night on nights that it's freezing. Then the Boulder Police Department comes by because starting at 10:30, it's illegal for you to actually use these blankets. So starting at 10:30, your taxpayer dollars go to pay officers to go arrest people for using those blankets, especially on public property. And then they get charged with camping in city limits as well as trespassing. That's I believe it's $125 fine for your first offense for the camping, and then it's even more money. It turns out to be a little over $400 between the 2 charges just for one night of sleeping. In addition, you also have 60 hours of community service between the 2 charges for one night of sleeping. And then you also have to worry about the fact that you will probably have to pee at some point in the night. If it's cold out, you're going to urinate more. And people don't like that. I've tried to get a hold of internal affairs. The problem is that when I spoke to Officer Amanda Jonas about the assault that I endured, she was supposed to be internal affairs. That's literally what I was going in to talk to her about on the day that I went in there. I was going to speak to her about the assault by another officer who was involved in Natalie's case, who hadn't done his job, and his name is Officer Burke. He was also let go of a different department due to the fact that he likes to rough people up, and he was allowed to assault me in the Longmont Hospital for trying to make a police report. I was literally still trying to make a police report about the Bollingers and about the assault by Officer Waylon Lolatai. As far as internal affairs goes, they're not going to investigate this. That's the problem. It's that without public outcry, they're not going to investigate this. I am well hated because of the slander by the Bollinger family. As far as Waylon Lolatai goes, the other people that he had to deal with, They weren't harassed in the way that I was. They weren't accused of killing someone. They weren't accused of stalking someone or any of that bullshit. The problem is that I have been targeted by police and by vigilantes over that ever since. I continue to speak out because I'm not able to take care of myself. I've been forced to live with meth addicts and alcoholics and things of that nature. I did actually make a call to Internal Affairs to try to set up an appointment for them to take a look at the evidence that I had. They told me that they couldn't. This is during the Zaid Atkinson fiasco, which Officer Waylon Lotai was also involved in. It doesn't matter about solid proof. It doesn't. When you're not allowed to go to court and they take all of your money and force you to go to court date after court date, you're homeless and you don't have anybody in your corner, you're fucked. Now, Mandy Hughes and Alyssa Rainwater claim that they were in my corner, but the thing is that they needed to come forward with that to the police as well. Mandy couldn't because she had warrants out for arrest, and Alyssa was afraid of being targeted. She used to work with the police, by the way. That's actually recorded here on this YouTube. There's conversations with Mandy and Alyssa on here. And you're right, without solid proof of allegations, it is wrong. There are probably people who aren't going to look over on the side and see the comments and think that I'm talking to myself and say, dude, you're schizophrenic. But yeah, this is definitely a good start. I have my computer here, and I'm somewhere with internet, so anytime the police come over, it can actually record live. Unlike when I was in Wyoming and they outright stole my computer, and it wasn't live. I had to wait until I got out of jail and got my computer back, and that's when I was able to finally post up that video. They took advantage of my poverty in order to get away with their illegal actions. See, they all know that I don't have the money for a lawyer. I was trying to explain to you noticed when I was talking to Greenman at the very beginning of this conversation about his body camera and how I hope it was on when I was speaking to him on the ride to Scotts Bluff. He said that I would need to get a lawyer to get that. But in that, I did speak about quite a few people. See, the thing is that I was gang stalked before Natalie's death by Natalie's friends and her, well, a whole bunch of really fucked up people. People who were on drugs, people who couldn't stay sober, people that never, ever should have had any access to me. The badge numbers, a lot of police officers refused to give me their names or badge numbers. I actually had to find out from, actually, I can show you which video it's from, because it's Colorado Donkey Watch. I believe this one might be it. We'll see. I just clicked on one, and I'm going to check the comments here. If it is on, this is about a situation where Sammy Leon Lawrence IV was assaulted. It's got 318 comments on it, so it might take a while to find mine. But he and I speak about, I had to ask him what the name of that officer was, because Officer Waylon Lotai was the one who assaulted me, and they repeatedly refused to give me his name or phone number, or his name or badge number. They kept on telling me that they were going to, they just never did. Here it is. It says, yes, same officer who assaulted me at the Boulder Hospital on January 6th of last year. And I got a thumbs up from that. And there's 7 replies between me and Colorado Donkey Watch. He typed, got incident number? I typed, no, sir, but Darren O'Connor might. I was prevented from a lot. They tried to cover up what they did to me. This is literally where I found out his number, found out his name. He typed, typical, sweep it under the rug till it bites them in the ass. I typed, I'd send him my email address. But this is literally where I found out which officer it was, what his name was, and all of that. So I'm going to save this. Copy video URL. The thing is that just because it's on paper doesn't mean they're going to follow it. They use the term mentally ill to prevent them from having to do their jobs repeatedly, there as well as here. I was harassed, threatened, and assaulted to the point that I was suicidal, and they used that as their excuse on multiple occasions to do the things they did to me. Now, at the point that Officer Lolatai assaulted me, I wasn't suicidal. I wasn't attempting to kill myself or anything like that. I was trying to make a police report. I was trying to get information to the Bloomfield police, anything that I had between Natalie and I, so that I could show the police what was going on. They also wanted to know what my login was for my Facebook and my YouTube, which they didn't need because the computer that they have and they kept and was supposed to bring me back the next day, it auto logs onto that stuff, so they didn't need to. I can't help or take care of myself. That's the issue. That's why I make these videos. I can't process well enough to go through all of this. It's all very traumatic. It's a lot of very messed up situations. It doesn't matter what it's protected under. It matters that they did everything in their power, first of all, to try to frame me for Natalie's murder, which ended up being a suicide, not a murder. It was an assisted suicide. And because of the assault, they did everything in their power to slander the shit out of my name to justify the things that they had done. That also has a lot to do with Natalie Bollinger and her slander before she was killed. The thing is that she was suicidal from being raped by her dad, as well as being neglected by her mother and a few other very fucked up situations with ex-boyfriends who were drug dealers and violent. I was pretty much the only person in her life that wasn't on fucking drugs. But they slandered my name in Virginia, which I only went to Virginia because Natalie called me one night threatening to blow her goddamn head off. Well, actually, she didn't threaten to blow her head off. She threatened to kill herself. And 6 hours later, she drove her vehicle into a telephone pole. She threatened to kill herself if I wasn't already on the road. And then she actually tried to kill herself. So I made sure I kept my word and I went to Virginia. When they called me a stalker just a few days after my birthday, I left there. I was fucking done with that bullshit. You know, I mean, here I was severely dehydrated in a fucked up situation, and I didn't know anybody in the area. It was just a really fucked up situation. A lot of the people that I had been in contact with were supposed to help me, like Brett Roloff, was in jail. I couldn't go see him. The guy that I was supposed to be going to work for beat on his, well, the rumor I heard was that he beat on his wife. I don't actually specifically know. I wasn't there. So no job there. I was supposed to be cleaning up hurricane damage. And then there was Amy Witcher and Andrew Witcher. They're Andrew's mother. I want to say her name is Kim. She lived in the Chesapeake area, and she was gonna, according to Amy, she was gonna help me to get a job painting houses, which is what she did. But I got a pretty screwed up back. When I left Virginia, it was over a very screwed up situation, and when I got back to Boulder, I had to deal with those rumors getting out of hand and people assaulting me and all of that. So I got a hold of Natalie and Alicia. I had to unblock them from Facebook because when I left Virginia, I literally blocked them both. I didn't want to have anything to do with them, knowing that they were on heroin and that they had called me a stalker to hide their own fucking bullshit. Really pissed me off. Although Natalie did say that she loved me and that her family was scared of me, and so I left. That should have been the end of it. The problem is that I was scared. That's why the whole situation happened. I had a severe panic attack. Today's technology can help me, you're right, but the problem is that I'm not tech savvy and I can't make officers wear body cameras. I also don't have the money for a lawyer. There's a situation with Candace Bondurant, which helps to cover that whole situation. Um, Candace Bondurant was intimidated by Officer Michael Beard and also threatened with being kicked out of her house into the snow with her two daughters in the middle of January of 2018. And I'm the one who was punished for it. And I've been trying to get that in court as well. Candace, uh, after I attempted suicide over that whole situation, I got a hold of her and I was pissed. And she started playing victim. I knew exactly what she was up to at the time. I was like, all right. I just threatened to take the officer that she said came and harassed her twice to court over the harassment against Candace for trying to help me. And now she's typing stuff that she knows is untrue. Like she claimed that I had a whole week there with internet, and that's not true. I wasn't there a whole week, and the internet, I only had it there when she was there and her daughters were there because the internet was on her phone. I've been trying to record my story. I've been recording it here and on Facebook. My phones have repeatedly been stolen or broken, or the first one, the most important one, that shows all of the situation when it first started with Mandy Hughes and Shannon Alvarado and a lot of the other people who ended up being complete and total fucking wingnuts was on those phones. I tried to save it in multiple places. Um, right now, there's a flash drive that Miss Peaches has that's Kayla Trujillo, and there's also another copy on one of the little dinky discs that you can put in your phone or put in the computer, and Molly Smith has that. So I've been saving it as best I can. And thank you for interacting with me, El Fluffy. I'm glad you asked some questions. That's pretty important, and I have no problems answering questions. As far as Mandy Hughes and Alyssa Rainwater go, they were afraid of being targeted if they came forward. They got to see a lot of the harassment and threats that I had to endure, and I sent them a whole shit ton of the evidence that I had. But yeah, I do record on my phone. I do. Yes, it is a micro SD card, correct. Um, there's a lot of stuff on my phone. I mean, let's see if it'll zoom in at all. Oh, fuck, I need a new back. There's just some of the stuff on there. One of these over here, that's a picture of Derek Apodaca. He's a sex offender. But there's a lot on here. See if I can get zoom in again. Ah, there's a keychain right there. This picture right here, picture of the keychain that Alicia Bollinger gave me for my birthday in 2016. The thing is that I had a severe panic attack while I was severely dehydrated there, and I had a fucked up phone that was broken, and I needed to get Natalie Bollinger in court to admit that that phone was broken. They were pretending like I stalked them to Virginia. The thing is, first of all, you don't invite someone to go to Virginia if they're stalking you. You don't invite someone to Virginia Beach if they're stalking you. You don't take them out to dinner. You don't give them birthday presents and you don't insist to go out with them on their birthday. That's just not something you do if somebody's stalking you. They just didn't want to tell their mom what was really going on. And that's a situation where I needed the Bollinger family to come forward and be honest about it. Make a copy and get a safe deposit box. I don't have any money. I've been hunted relentlessly, El Fluffy. The thing is that the rumors that they told, they didn't understand that their druggy buddies were going to do some fucked up shit over that. And to this day, they fail to recognize that or even take a look at it. And police have done everything in their power to prevent me from having an honest day in court because they, as well, did wrong. There's multiple occasions where I've gone to the police to try to get them to do their jobs, and they just won't fucking do it. Now, this video is getting about an hour long. I know that when I first started making these videos, anything past an hour, when I tried to replay it, it was silent. Everybody says the library, and that's great, fine, and dandy, but I don't need to go to the library. I have internet here. And as far as jump drive, if you want to come to Nebraska and show me how to do all of this stuff, it's one thing to make a suggestion. It's something entirely different for somebody. Oh no, 16 gigabytes isn't even close to enough. I have over 8,000 or over 10,000 screenshots. There's over 8,000 of them, I believe, on this computer, maybe more. There's also over 1,000 videos. There's at least 300 phone conversations between myself and others. At least 150 of those are actually here on my YouTube. The sheer quantity of evidence that I have, I filled up an entire 256 gig memory stick, and I still had to get more. At that point in time, I had 3 phones, 4 phones actually, because I had my flip phone as well. And they were all so full that I had to delete stuff in order to continue. I have this little thing here. It's called, let me see, OneDrive. It says my OneDrive is full. My OneDrive has been full for almost a full 2 years. So, I mean, this is all stuff that I've really been trying to do. There is just a fucking shit ton. I've tried to make a website so that I could show it. And the website that I made, because it's free, only allows you to put a certain amount of stuff up. Also, I'm not real good at building websites. I know YouTube is a tutor, and a lot of times I do watch videos on that. When I was up in Montana in 2016, up Atlanta and Amanda Ingelines, I spent a lot of time watching YouTube videos to learn how to do the things that I didn't know how to do. Some of it stuck and some of it didn't. Right? That's the thing, is that even being able to do all that stuff, even looking it up, like I get completely overwhelmed, especially with the sheer quantity of stuff that people expect me to do. And if I don't do those things, they get angry and throw tantrums. The thing is that I have to worry about being assaulted by the police everywhere that I go. I have to worry about police blowing me off, treating me like shit, and not doing their goddamn jobs because of the assault by Waylon Lovatai. Because, see, it wasn't just the fact that he assaulted me, it's the fact that they dropped the charges, and that prevented me from having a day in court where I could actually speak on my own behalf and tell what was going on. And it also meant that the arrest record that's permanently on there, a lot of the stuff that they put in the courts, it wasn't my crimes that I committed or didn't commit. It was my arrest record. And I've been arrested for a shit ton of crimes that I didn't commit. I could almost say it evens out because there's lots of crimes that I committed that they dropped the charges on, but really it's still on my arrest record. So whenever I encounter the police, they don't give two shits what I have to say and basically treat me like shit. Here in Chapel, Nebraska, it's a little bit different, not by much. Those officers, Officer Hahn and Officer Selhorst, they were both pretty well aware of the situation with Jordan Anderson before the sheriff here was. I'd like to believe, although I don't like the sheriff, especially after the argument yesterday and the bullshit that happened in 2018. But if he removes Officer Hahn, then I might actually trust or believe that he's a decent officer. If he issues a warrant for Deputy Cody Selhorst, so that if Selhorst comes back to the state of Nebraska, he gets arrested for the bullshit that he pulled, that would be much more the better. The fact is that I'm disabled. I can't take care of myself. I have crippling panic attacks all the time, and that's why I make the videos. I can't function well enough to process all of this. I mean, that's a bunch of evidence right there. That's a bunch of evidence right there. And there's the evidence on my telephone. You're from a reservation, I take it? Are you from up in the Hardin area? I'm going to take a picture of your email address. It says it's held for review, and I don't want other people to see your email address for your own safety. So I'm going to take a picture of that. Oh, it's still on video camera. Turn it sideways here. Belle Fluffy. I noticed you have a native name, so that's why I asked. When Selena Not Afraid disappeared, I had made a video about a year earlier about the missing women of Hardin, Montana. And I know that there's a lot of missing Native people from that area that aren't women. There's also men that are missing from that area. They're missing from all over the United States, actually, and Canada. And that also stems a lot to do with when Natalie died. Indeed. When Natalie died, it was a very messed up situation, and a lot of people hate me because of the situation with Natalie and the fact that I was never allowed to defend myself. So when Selena Not Afraid disappeared, I used the hatred towards me to get people to actually take a look at the situation and to force law enforcement to do more than they normally would have done in the situations involving a missing Native woman. The situation here with the officers is the same with the officers everywhere. They treat me like I'm mentally ill. They give me every excuse that they can not to do their jobs, not to investigate the abuse that I've been enduring, including the threats and assaults. I needed an honest day in court, and I needed a caseworker who was actually going to do their job. The last time I had a caseworker who actually did their job, her name was Tamara, and I wish I knew her last name because I really could use her to testify on the stand. You absolutely can. If you look up Natalie Bollinger, after looking at that stuff, you'll probably hate me. The fact is, my name was slandered, and I was being threatened, harassed, and assaulted repeatedly over this young woman who I had gone to rescue. She had saved my life, believe it or not. She rescued me from Border Police. She rescued me from killing myself over police harassment. When I was being threatened, harassed, and assaulted over her slander, I harassed the fuck out of her. I mean, it didn't start off as me harassing her. It started off as me asking her nicely to come forward and tell me the truth. Um, but by the end of it, I was calling her a cunt and telling her that she needed to call off the fucking dogs, and I was fucking pissed. And, you know, by the very end of it, I was so pissed off about the way that I was treated. I took an email that she had sent me in 2016 about what a piece of shit her dad is, and I posted that right on her dad's timeline on his Facebook. I also posted it on mine for the whole world to see. My email address is doggedroman@gmail.com. So I will send you a message. And hopefully I don't type your email address wrong. Sometimes I do that. That's why if I take a picture, the first thing I forget is names and numbers. One of the situations that I encountered with the officers is they outright refused repeatedly to allow me the names of officers, and they also kept on preventing me from uh, having a pencil so that I could write their name down while I still remembered it. I actually I tore paint off the wall in the Boulder County Jail, and I turned some of that paint around backwards, and I stuck that paint to the slab of paint that I had in order to write the names of officers because they wouldn't let me have a pencil. They assaulted me repeatedly there, and I ultimately actually tried to kill myself as a result of their assaults. Another thing I did was they wouldn't let me have a pencil in the suicide cell in Arapahoe County, so I was actually tearing up my lunch sacks. I was tearing the names of people into the lunch sacks so that I would know the names of the officers. I also used my thumbnail when they wouldn't allow me those, and I scratched the names of the officers into the wall there so that I could try to remember them. Good luck with your research. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't been able to show just because there's so much of it. A lot of it, there are people that I very much care about, and I would like to keep their stuff private. But since it does have to do with my case and the situations that I was in as a result of police negligence, um, I do have quite a bit that's not on email or not on YouTube and not on Facebook. There's also a lot of stuff that has phone numbers on it, and I get in trouble for posting that stuff up. Although somebody started giving my phone number out to some predators that have been harassing me for a while now. I'd like to believe that I can go in and write that stuff down and have the sheriff actually investigate it. But the thing is, at this point, the FBI needs to be involved. They're the only ones who really have the resources to invest in going after these actual predators. Now, the other fact is that these are actual predators. I have written confirmation from many of these victims of who their predators are. So it's just a matter of getting the police to look at it as a pain in the ass, especially since if I'm allowed an honest day in court, a lot of police officers are going to be in a shit ton of trouble. I was literally tortured by police officers in Colorado on multiple occasions. So that makes it a very difficult issue. Now, the stuff that I've had to deal with here is torture as well, but it's just mental torture. I mean, it's still hell. It's not like the physical torture that I had to endure in Arapahoe County Jail and Larimer County Jail, and um, the worst though is Boulder. They assaulted me. Um, Officer Lolatai assaulted me, and then I was assaulted in August of 2018 on 4 different occasions during a 4-day period um, in the jail. as well as the assault that I was trying to report on when I was arrested and taken to the jail. Amanda Jonas was supposedly going to take a report about Officer Burke, who had assaulted me. Instead, she arrested me and took me to Boulder County Jail, where I was assaulted 4 more times. And I noticed that missing and murdered Indigenous women, missing and murdered Indigenous men. I type MMIP, missing and murdered Indigenous people, but same fight, you're right. The thing is that when the police do fucked up shit, they're going to do everything in their power to either make you look crazy or make you look violent. Yes, it can be scanned and saved if you have a scanner and you have the ability to do that. A lot of this I did scan up there in Montana, and a young woman named Amanda Ingline helped me to scan it. Matter of fact, she did most of the scanning. The problem is she just wasn't looking at it. I needed someone to sit down with me and understand that I'm overwhelmed. I need someone to sit there with me and to know that they're actually looking at it. So there's that. And that was the issue with most of the people that claimed that they wanted to help, is that they didn't actually sit with me in person and go through this, and I'm too overwhelmed to do it all. Like I said, I saved it as much as I could. I saved a shit ton of it on flash drives. The thing is, the theft of my flash drives and the police officers who allowed that dude to get away with it, that's actually on my YouTube channel as well. That whole situation, starting with the police officer as he was getting into his car to drive off, and it continues on through to the phone calls that I made to his department trying to turn him in. I tried to talk to a superior officer to turn him in for not doing his job, and instead, he's the one that called me back. His name was Officer Schneider. Not acceptable. When somebody is trying to turn in an officer for something that they did wrong, you do not give that officer that person's number. That allows that person to be in an unsafe situation where that officer can retaliate against them. And that has happened repeatedly. And it follows through with my calls to try to get a hold of his superiors and them playing stupid, and me talking to Schneider and me getting pissed off, and the security guard coming and getting me and showing me where the person who had stolen my stuff had dumped it all over the ground, and I was able to collect a lot of it, but the electronics that were in it had been stolen, and the USB sticks that were in it were stolen, along with that little key fob that I had gotten from Alicia Bollinger for my birthday in 2016. You can't make police do their jobs, and that's the problem, is that those cameras need to make them do their jobs, and in order to get the cameras, you need a lawyer. And that's just a special fuck you every time they say that. They're basically saying, go fuck yourself. On the bright side, he claims that it was on, and he had told me that it was on while I was in the vehicle with him, so hopefully it was on. The problem is having to get a lawyer to gain access to that. I don't have any money. I'm disabled, and my disability money was taken away from me. I literally had to break the law to try to force the police to do something, because all of my money was getting eaten up in courts. What's your question? El Fluffy. I know I talk a lot. This is like an hour and a half long video. It says, just in case you guys aren't the type of people look over at the side to see the live chat. It says, I have one more question, and it's of utmost importance you answer it honestly and as best as you can. So I guess it's taken a while to type it. It must be a long question. Although it only allows you 200 characters, so there's not much you can type in that amount. I found that out when I was in the Arapahoe County Jail. I'm trying to file a full report on the situation, and on the kiosks, they won't allow you to do that. And are you or have you ever been involved with any group that might cause any harm when I assist you with your efforts in justice for you? Well, I have helped out a lot of people who are drug addicts, and they're pretty volatile. Um, as far as the police, they're hell bent on hiding the fact that they didn't do their jobs. It wasn't one police department that didn't do their jobs. It was outright police across the board not doing their jobs. Um, so that might be an issue as well. Let's see. I don't work with any hate groups. I stick up for minority rights. I stick up for. I've actually marched with Black Lives Matter. I also stick up for women's rights and especially children's rights. I was abused and grew up in the system being abused, so that's probably my biggest cause. And because I'm homeless, and because of the situation with the homeless, I fight very hard for homeless rights. Most of the homeless were in the system growing up. The largest cross section of the jail population and prison population and homeless population are former foster kids. And that's about it. I mean, I don't really get along with racists. I don't really get along with police because they take our money but don't do much. They speak big but do little. My computer is going to